So thankful to see you again. It has been a journey. I've been writing a book and finishing up some classes to pretty much finish up a certification. So I've been pretty overwhelmed lately, but I just want to take a moment because you are equally important. You have helped me build up my channel. I saw that I have almost 80,000 views. So I'm thankful and I'm so appreciative of you and thank you. Today, I pretty much want to talk about, I know the title states, they need you, but do you need them? It's pretty much about when you feel like you need to carry the weight of others, okay? Everybody has their separate lives. So sometimes, even with that, people may not have a close look at your life. So you're busy in your life and they're busy in theirs, but it may differ in so many ways. With that being said, sometimes people can overwhelm you with their what you might think is not so important because there are issues that they can actually improve themselves, but they want somebody else to nurture and parent them through it. And it's like you really don't need to be in the middle of that. So I'm going to kind of talk to you about setting your boundaries on that and how to spot out if you even need to get close to or involve yourself in people's lives who can pretty much self-correct their own issues instead of laying the burden on you and treating it like a crisis, but really they have the power to make the changes on their own, but they're trying to make you the God of their life or the fixer of all of their issues. If you value your time and your peace and you really feel drained, the only thing I could tell you, I have been through that stage in my life. And what I had to learn is let people handle their own business. Okay. Do not, I mean, I am a very empathetic person. Some people have called me an earth angel, stuff like that. But what I'm going to try to help you with is letting them figure it out on their own. Okay. So you might have friends, you might have coworkers, you may have family, and everything is treated like a crisis. But what you can do to preserve your peace and to develop your peace is you need to let them know this does not look like an issue that you can resolve. However, they can resolve it if they make different choices. And you could pretty much question them in regards to that, like, how do you plan to handle it? So instead of you taking on the responsibility, you can say things like, well, I've listened to your issue, whether he or she has come to you with whatever the dilemma is, especially if they're using you on a regular basis, which is taking up your time, your energy, and disrupting your peace in your household, and or causing you to alter your emotional state because of whatever the information they're trying to deliver to you, maybe. So what I like to do, and here's a tactic I like to do and use, is what do you plan to do about it? Okay. Something else I've learned is sometimes people feel entitled to where they want you to reorganize and prioritize them. And you just don't have the space for it in your life, and or you have self-healing to do, or you have other issues that are going on, whether you have home repairs, your kids issues, husband and wife issues, you just don't have time for it. So what I like to do is just put it back on them. Okay, I heard what you said, but what do you plan to do about it? I come from a family that sometimes we have a combination. You have some people who like to use you for your time, some people who like to use you for your money, and then if you can't do either, you're no good to them. It's an entitled spirit. But what I like to do is just put it back on them. What do you plan to do? So if you're quitting 1,000 jobs and you're always late, how can you change your circumstances? What do you think? I may not have the money to lend you right now, but what can you do to make the improvements? Because one thing I have learned, and I'm quite sure you have family members that are the same, friends who are the same, associates, acquaintances, whoever has been blessed to come into your life and learn a lesson, or you could either be a lesson or a blessing to them, or they could be a lesson or a blessing to you as well. But I've learned uh, they want to pretty much use you in some way, shape, or form because they know you have the resources to help them. I'm not really big on financial, uh, giving to a person, especially when I see that they're grown, they don't have any children, they don't have any responsibilities. I'm not really big on nurturing and trying to parent them into adulthood when they're in their 30s or 40s. So I would encourage you, if you feel burdened because you have finances, you have a family, or you're going to college, or you're running a business, or you just have family issues, whatever it may be, refer them. You can offer resources, look up some resources for them, make it really quick and say, I found some resources for you. Maybe this can help you, but in the meantime, what can you do with your own actions to correct the things that you feel may not be going correctly with your life? I could pray with you. I can empathize with your position, but how can you help yourself? I do understand there are many individuals who have self-esteem issues. They grew up in different types of environments, and it can definitely cause harm in the way their outlook is. If they seen their parents work in a certain way and it worked out, or it was a con, a con type of mentality, then sometimes they could grow up and they could take on that mentality as well. And then they expect everybody to bail them out. And when you're not bailing them out, now all of a sudden family doesn't help, or, they pretty much get angry with everyone else around them because they just can't use you, because their excuses have run out. Their lives have run its course, or their irresponsibility has caught up with them. So I would just say, if you have the financial means to do it and you see someone who is actually genuinely trying to help, themselves, and they are really staying on track, but they fall into hard times, that's different from a person who, they're late for work, they don't want to go to work, they're always getting in confrontations, and it just never benefits anybody else around them, to include themselves, but they don't understand you need a job. We live in 2023, we're about to hit 2024. So you're well aware, inflation has taken its toll, on top of just rising cost of everything. Your insurance, my homeowner's insurance has gone up, my car insurance, everything has been on the rise, food, gas. So it's almost as if, you have to allow people to be responsible for themselves. And in order to do that, they have to learn how to be accountable for themselves. Sometimes we can enable others. And sometimes if you allow yourself to enable them for so long, then now you are their primary source or secondary source of how they plan to use you. And a lot of times people don't want to work to feel like they're giving back to you too. So when I'm talking about they need you, but do you need them? Let's take a look at that. I know there are some cultural factors, depending on which culture you come from. Some people have a community based environment that they grew up in, to where if one person fails, then everybody kind of fails, but in America, it's like there's only so much you can do. If I'm 40 and you're 40 and you're not working, but I'm working, why should you take from the person who's getting up at 4 a.m, making money, and you're sitting on a couch laying around full of excuses, and you're not trying to help yourself? To me, that's not a community based thing. That's just somebody being lazy. And they found a source that could take care of them, and they're going to use the person until they can use them out, until that person finally throws their hands up, and says enough is enough. So another thing too is when we're talking about, do they need you? I mean, they need you, but do you need them? You want to see how, uh, if you need to pretty much leave people behind. I know with me, when I was younger, I kind of grew up more independent. So it's easier for me to let go and then like be like adios. So sometimes even your exes can hate you more because they expect it, and I'm also a Libra zodiac, first the zodiac sign. So and I read on it, and I do embody everything it says. Like, we're a male dominant sign, but we're fair minded, but even with that being said, we could cut off our emotions just as quickly as we could give them to you. So we can be kind of lethal, lethal in our approach, meaning like, okay, I love you, but if you betray me, we're done. And then I'm good with that. But some people don't get that because they see the love and the light that God has shined in your life, and they think, they can take advantage of that. And then when they see they can't, now you're public enemy number one. It's like out for blood. But we want to talk about targeting your verbal communication when it comes to they need you, but you don't need them. Okay. And this is just part of the betrayal that sometimes could come along with that. And that's targeting your verbal communication. So anytime you're thriving because you have made different life choices that has helped you in your path move forward, because I believe, I grew up as a Christian. My grandmother was a Baptist preacher, but I also attended non-denominational churches growing up. So I grew up in the church. And one thing that I did learn is, even with my own personal experiences, I can actually scare you, and I'll share with you a couple of, incidents, just to give you insight on my love for Christ and why I actually believe in it, and what my position is and why. Okay. So anyway, targeting your verbal communication is pretty much people who, although they call you up or they want to conversate with you, they're examining everything you say. And part of the reason why they're examining what you say is only because they want to find something that they can run with. And sometimes it's to talk about you and to twist things up, or it could just be to make you feel like you think you're better than them. And what that really is their private insecurities. I've noticed, and I've dealt with color issues, colorism issues, being a minority female. And then I've also dealt with racism, sexism, and I've beat it all, so I'm not one of those where I'm going to let you do that. I just believe that you can have dignity, class, and you can show people love while you're doing the correction. You don't have to get bitter, ugly, nasty to get your point across. You can do it in a very polite way, but an effective way, which I hope to share with you, in my future videos when I can be more consistent with you. But anyway, they turn everything positive into a negative. I received a call, and I just remember a individual, they were trying to use somebody else, but what they're really doing is trying to speak on my life, and I've had a great life. I can really tell you that, but it did not come without burdens. I've had to deal with a lot. I'm also a combat veteran, so I've dealt with a lot, and I did deploy during one of the deadliest years, which is 2006 and 2007. So I have, I brought things back from the war, as we call it. But people, even with that, they don't see you. They just see their demonic attached views, and some people, unfortunately, they can grab their Bibles to try to make it seem like, see, that's prideful or that's egotistical. And the Bible, it says don't be like that. And you're none of those things. It's just the fact that if I ask you about your day, you're going to have a different experience than my day. vice versa. There's a million, billions of people here. So it's more like, instead of taking it in the context that it should be taken in, they choose to take it a certain way because of their own insecurities. And unfortunately, sometimes if you're thriving and they're not, it could really light up some demonic spirits that's sitting inside of them if they don't have Christ really sitting inside of them, which is unfortunate, you know. Anyway, we're going to keep moving along. I would say also another thing is they need you, but you don't need them. They tend to buddy up with your ex, you know, somebody you have been in contact with. They don't know them to save their life, but all of a sudden now they're friends with somebody that has clearly have harmed you or done you wrong. And to think that's acceptable, that's another red flag, you know. So there's no more to really say about that. We know that how that is. But I've learned birds of a feather like to flock together. And sometimes, unfortunately, if you are thriving in life and that person feels like they're not, then they kind of develop a team. They build a team, unfortunately. And that team is designed effectively to try to cause harm, whether they're just doing it on their side, you know, on the side or out of your visual or out of your environment. And the only thing I could say with that is just, you know, stay prayed up, keep your loving spirit, do not entertain them. Because it's like if you have a family member that's teaming up with an ex and that ex really never knew that person, that's kind of odd anyway, right? So I could see if they were previous friends or they had their lifestyles was, you know, along the same lines, then I could see teaming up. But when you barely know a person, all of a sudden they become interesting, you know, because you may not like you know, a thriving individual, then it's like you just want to develop an environment that is damaging or harmful to the person that you need, but they don't need you. You know what I'm saying? So another thing is you have to be able to examine a person's life. You know, take yourself out of the picture and see what their life is really like. And by listening, you can learn a lot. And by asking a lot of questions. One thing I learned about people is they love to talk about themselves. And as a communication major, that's what we learn is just keep asking 1,000 questions. Why? Because people like to dote over themselves. And that's the quickest way that you can learn who people are, their environment, their upbringing, their family, you know, how their views on different issues and subjects. Sometimes their views can differ from yours, and that's okay. It just depends on how their maturity level is if they can handle differences in others. But let's see, we went over all my points. My main thing is living your best life. I could tell you, I have accomplished everything I set out to do in my life. People ask me, how do I do it? How did I do it? And the only thing I could really stand firm on, even if you're not a religious person, is I stood firm on God and Jesus. And I would pray about everything before I did it. And then I would pray while I was doing it. And then I would continue to pray while I was seeing it through. And God has really highlighted so many things in my life. I don't know. Some people talk about manifestation, you know, their practice of manifestation. But all I have ever done is I would pray about everything I wanted. And then I would be so focused in on it to where everybody else was kind of pushed out of the process. But that's me being able to shut the emotional side of me off to be able to accomplish the goal. Not everybody is like that, depending on what their maturity level is. But I was just kind of, even when I was a little younger, you know, I was considered an old soul, although I was still naive about life. Like I was naive about relationships. And then I got into two major bad relationships that, but they were lessons, and I was able to learn something from both of those incidents, and to learn that how some people could be good, some people could be bad, some people are tricksters, the manipulation, the narcissistic factors. I've learned a lot. And the cool thing about me, though, is I learn once. I'm not one of those that want to keep going back and learning more and more. It's just sometimes I might have to revisit it. Like a relationship might be similar, and then I would have to see something I didn't see in the first. You get what I'm saying? Because some people you have different type of manipulative strategies. But now that I'm way older, I'm in my 40s now, but when this happened, I was in my 20s. But I just want you to understand God works, Jesus works, and prayer works. I know I tried to be open-minded and listen to different things, and I know some of you guys probably have too. I've listened to different type of religious factors and belief structures. Like I've listened to a Wiccan when I was deployed, and she was telling me about what that was about, and I was like, I believe in Jesus. I believe in the power of that, because that has only escalated me. It's never dropped me down. And when we did our comparisons, it was like her life always had obstacles. And so I was like, okay, I have obstacles, but mine are minor. It's like minor, and then you get 1,000 blessings after you make it through whatever God's test was. So I'll take that any day, but I just want to encourage you, sometimes people need you, but you need to evaluate if you need them. And then you need to learn how to establish your boundaries and pretty much do it in accordance with how you feel. So, and don't take things personally, and do not give people power. If somebody say, oh, your hair is ugly, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what. I'm just making that up. It's like a kid's term. I have a little 12-year-old. So, I listen to how the kids talk, but it doesn't matter. Just, you. And you have to allow people to live their life. Okay. And then you have to establish your boundaries and keep your boundaries. Okay. You don't owe anybody anything, and you don't put anybody above God and then you. Okay. You have God and then you. God and then you. It's not God, them, and then you. You get what I'm saying? It's God and then you, because you have to have a one-on-one relationship with God, and then He'll speak through your prayers if you allow Him to, and then He will give you the answers and the direction and the guidance that you really genuinely need. And that's how I've always thrived, even in hard times. An example, just so you know, I don't know how spiritual you are, but I was in Iraq, and I just remember I was doing salsa dancing, in my chew. And then we call them chews, but they're container housing units that we stay in. But I was doing salsa, and then finally I stopped, and I was just burnt out, because this is a way of killing time. So anyway, something was like, go to the bathroom. And I heard it clear as day. And I remember my battle gear was by my door, and I was standing maybe 4 feet from my door when I was just standing there, getting my breath, And again, something said, go use the restroom now. And then I felt a big gut punch. And then I was like, holy crap, I have to pee. So I literally ran out the room. I ran all the way to the bathroom, which was maybe like within, I want to say about 20 meters where my living container housing unit was. And then when I came back, my room was destroyed. And I used my key to get back in the door, and I was like, what? And I was looking around the whole room, like nothing looked out of place. There was no entry points far as another soldier doing this or a combatant doing this. So I go through my room, and I'm looking underneath everything and going around, and I see a bullet on the ground, an AK-47 round. And I'm telling you, I was like, holy shit. And then I went to chow, and then right after that, I don't know how much you got CID, who is our police officers on post and our investigators on post. So They just told me, hey, put your finger next to the entry hole, and then, they would just do their job separately. So I brought it to Chow, I took pictures and then let them see it. And then, it was just an AK-47 round. So I was just like, thank you, God. Because I had to get on top of my unit. And just to give you an example, if you don't know what a container housing unit is, it's pretty much like if you look on the back of a semi, build it into a home. So anyway, I got up on top of it and I saw the bullet entry, and where I was standing was exactly where that bullet entered my room. And the angle of it. So I was like, holy crap, I didn't have my gear on. I didn't have my flak vest. So I was just standing there. And then finally, when I came in, I realized I could have died just now. I was just there. And then I had another incident where I've only been on commercial planes. But when I went to Iraq, I got on the C. I don't know all my planes, but it's C-130. And then later I got on the Kiowa, the little tiny. And they're little. They're so cute. I don't know those, but they're Kiowas, two-seaters. But anyway, to get back, my second incident was in a plane. So I was so tired. I had a problem sleeping in Iraq. I started having really bad sleep issues there, and to where I could go 4 days, and then I was dismissed from work one time, and then we got bombed out. Oh, I shouldn't say that word, but yes, we got pretty much, yeah, bombed out when we were there. So that night, because I took pills, I went to the cache because I was like, oh, go to cash and just kind of, the cash is the doctor or the hospital. So I went to the cash or whatever, doctor, and I mean the hospital, and I just let him know I haven't slept for 4 days and I can't go back to work until I get some rest, and it was so bad to where I was typing and I was sending out emails and it was like gibberish. And then when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, that's why I was dismissed, because my brain was processing clear sentences, but I was just literally, it was like little jumbled, just gibberish. So anyway, I was given some pills to go to sleep, and the doctor clearly said, do not take these unless you don't have anything else to do. So I was like, okay, I'll just follow my daily routine since I can't go to work. I will work out twice in the gym, try to burn it all out, get it all out of my system, and then take the pill. So I took the pill. I fell asleep. We got hit real bad. And I promise you, the only way I got up was because a lot of the soldiers were shaking my container unit to shake me out of there, because I was the only one unaccounted for on post. So I was like, oh my God. So they got me up. My nose was, bleeding a little bit, because I think the way they woke me up, because it was aggressive, because they have to get you out of there so you could get underneath the bomb, I shouldn't say that word, but, I don't know how YouTube does that, but I had to get underneath the protective place to be able to deal with the hits. But as soon as I got underneath it, I grabbed my gear and literally slapped it on, and I fell right back to sleep because I just couldn't stay up. So I don't even know what happened that night. So that was number 2. Number 3, I was on a plane going into Baghdad, and this is why I believe in God, okay? But I mean, like, beyond, like, some people could believe, but you have to have your personal experience with God to know. So anyway, I was on the plane, and I had sleep issues, so when I got on the C-30, I think it's a C-130. It's a cargo carrier where you got a whole bunch of stuff in the back, and then you're on the sides, and then they got a big section in the center where they're carrying cargo, whatever. So anyway, we were going from Mosul to Baghdad, and I just remember I was so tired. But it was a late flight, and we had a litter, on the back, and which is like a injured soldier. That's our term for it. But anyway, I just remember we were ready. They brought the litter on. We were waiting for him. He was getting medevac to Germany. And all I could do is I got up and I prayed for him. He was out of it. Trust me, he was doped up. He was like on some real good stuff. I don't know what they put in him. But I just went over and I grabbed his hand and I just said, I'm going to pray over you. And I just talked, said a prayer. And I went and I sat back down. Then it was time for us to take off. So I strapped in with my duffels and then my gear. And next thing I know, I was knocked out because the plane, it bounces. So that bounce just was like, oh. So I was able to fall asleep. It was like heaven. Like to sleep is a beautiful thing, especially in Iraq, when you can't find it. So, and it's just the stress. I just think everybody is so different, depending on like the hits and stuff that we get out there. So it's different, and the injuries, stuff like that. So anyway, it put me to sleep. So next thing I know, I was woken up by some other soldiers that were on the opposite side, and one of them came over and he was shaking me up again. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to go to sleep. I never get sleep. So I was just so angry at the fact that he woke me up. And I'm like, so anyway, he shakes me, my Kevlar, and he was like, trying to get me up. And then finally I woke up and I was delirious, obviously. And he sat back down and he strapped back in and he was like, wake up, wake up. And he was like, which group are you with? And he was just collecting all this intel to force me to wake up. And then I was just telling him where I was from and giving him my social, everything he required from me, where I was from, which group, stuff like that. So next thing I know, I saw some orange stuff coming out of the plane. So I got up and I was like, I just unstrapped, and it's me waking up. So it's like I was still out of it, but kind of in and out. So I woke up and I went over to the window and I saw all this orange stuff coming out of the plane. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, go sit down, go sit down. And I was like, well, what is it? And he was like, those are flares. And I was like, flares? Why would they be throwing flares in the plane? I mean, why would we have flares coming out? He's like, because somebody's trying to bring the plane down. Go sit down and strap back in. So I went and I strapped back down and then I started going back to sleep. And then I just jumped up like, plane going down, plane going down. Oh my God, I've never been a jumper. I don't know, so it was just like the way it took me out of my sleep. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. It was just like a light bulb went off and it's like, plane going down. I can't jump. I've never been a parachuter. Do we have parachutes? That type of deal. And I'm just a ground troop, come on, 92 Alpha. So anyway, we landed crazy. We landed, it was like, to me, it was like a hard landing and it was just weird, but I think they were just trying to maneuver out of the situation. But to me, it was like, I was pissed off at him. I was like, why would you wake me up? I could have just died in my sleep. And he was like, because you got attached to us if we, live. So I'm like, oh my God, I already understood that, but it's different when you're sleepy, and you haven't had good rest, proper sleep. Then it's like, everybody's kind of in their own lane. But anyway, that was just my experience to you as far as how God can show you how Jesus works in your situation. And he could give you direct instructions. And when I say direct, and it's to help you and to sustain you. And it doesn't matter what people throw your way. Some people practice so many different religious factors to try to harm others. And it's like, no, I believe in Jesus because it works. And every time I see that somebody, it works, for me. So, but anyway, they need you, but do you need them? We all need somebody, but you need the right people. And that's pretty much the basis of this live. I'm glad to have joined you. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day or night. And those were just my experiences. And I'm in the process of actually writing a book, just so you know. So that's why I look so tired. If you look right here, I've been looking at my eye, just sleepy, doing school and that, just to finish up a couple of things, to get the rest of the certification. So So, but I'm one of those too where some people don't believe in education. They downplay it in this day and age, especially I've seen a lot of that on YouTube. But to me, having your education is valuable. I don't care what people say. You'll never see somebody from Stanford or Harvard or that going through some serious issues. They may go through self-inflicted issues, but for the most part, you see that their life is they know where to go, they know where to source to build. And you do have exceptions to the rule, whether or not you went to college or whether or not you went to school. You do have exceptions to the rule of people who do have made it, but I think there's a lot of benefit to still maintaining your education and connecting with other people. I think that's valuable, especially in college where you could get with other people and network with them, because you guys are all going to go off to have different jobs and one day you might need each other. So I found that to be valuable, and business partners too, where you could go in, you have business people who, if you join the Chamber of Commerce, that's a benefit as well. But we're not on business in school. But I just want you to know, I find value to be able to deliver more messages and become better myself as well. I have all the intelligence here, but sometimes articulating it through here, it's different because there's a million things going on in the brain. And sometimes I can't deliver as fast as I think. All right. God bless you, and have a great rest of your night. Enjoy yourself. Evaluate the relationships in your life. Be serious about it. You want to protect your peace. Okay. And part of protecting your peace is to evaluate who's really in your life for you. And you can feel it. Trust me. You don't have to be a Christian to be able to have that gut intuition that tells you who's right and who's wrong, and who's there to have a sword behind your back to kind of shank you a little bit. So we want to make sure we have some healthy connections, because you're going to need it no matter where you go in this life. You're going to need it, and you're going to have to be able to cut people off quickly. You're going to have to take your life seriously, to where it's you and then God, then them. You, then God, then them, because it will keep everything in balance and focus, and you'll be able to see things differently. Like, you won't take things personally. Like, I don't take, anything I've been through personally. I take it as, this was a lesson. I didn't see this. I was naive in this area. But because now I've been through an experience, I was able to see it for what it is and let it go, and then be able to thrive. And I think that's how your blessings show up. You got to learn to see the lesson, let it go, redirect your course of action, and then make life work for you. And when your life works for you, you can bless other people with your life's work. You understand? So like when I used to admire, and I still admire Oprah. I'm actually a fan of hers, and I subscribe to her magazine. But growing up, she was my icon. As far as what I saw, a strong woman, a articulate woman, a educated woman, a woman that brought class to television. She was able, I saw how her moods, no matter what she was talking about, was just so gorgeous and loving and warm. And that, I think, is what set her apart from anybody I've seen. It's just her ability to be authentically loving and to let that shine. Although, I've read she hasn't had an easy life. And I think that anybody that God has placed in this world to be, I hear so many different terms, but earth angels. I was always said to be an earth angel in every relationship I've been in, and people I've learned and have had the pleasure of being their friends, because my intentions really are genuine. I don't look at people to harm and wound, even if they have done that to me. My thing is, I'll pray about it because I already understand the power of God and what God will do in their lives, and I still pray for them because I don't want harm to fall them, because but whatever is going to happen is going to happen. It's not going to be through me. It's going to be through God, so, but I believe like people like Oprah, they're earth angels. They have hard lives. They've been through a lot. People only see the money, but they don't see the catastrophe, that they had to go through, and to lift themselves up and to heal, to a certain place to be able to elevate so much to be able to bless someone else. You know, I listened to Pastor T.D. Jakes, and I could tell you this. I was in such a bad marriage, and I came back from Iraq and everything. And I just remember when I came home, I was there by myself, you know. There was no support for me. And it's only because we came back early. Like we were supposed to, we had a designated time to come back, but we came back early. So it kind of messed up the time schedule for everybody. So literally, my boss is at work, literally drove down about an hour or 45 minutes from Seattle to Fort Lewis, and they stood in on behalf of my family. And so I could get my award, and they were presented with the award as well for their support. But I'm telling you, you just have some people who've been through the storm, but they have learned how to manage that slogan. They need you, but do you need them? They need you, but do you need them? The way you give people their greatest blessings, you don't need them, but you help them. But helping does not always mean that you're not allowing them to be accountable for their own actions, the life that they've chosen to live. You can't be responsible, and you cannot allow people to guilt trip people, into handling their issues on, that's their life path. They've made choices. They knew it was bad, but they wanted that. They were conditioned to have it that way, or they wanted that. And then they have to live a lesson too. You have your separate lessons, whether you're naive or not, you're going to learn, and then I'll help bring you out of that. And hopefully you'll learn it to where you don't do it again, or you'll choose to do it differently. I believe I've talked about everything I wanted to with you. You stay blessed, okay? You handsome men and you beautiful women out there. And don't let anyone tell you different, okay? Life is not designed to be easy, but it can be worth it, okay? But you just have to remember, when you come home, your peace is your greatest asset. It's nothing more, nothing less. And if you put yourself in the crossfire of those who do not have your best intentions at heart, and you could feel it, but you don't do anything about it, those are the people that sometimes could give you the worst and the greatest lessons. And sometimes, people have committed suicide over that because they're so well intentioned, but they did not realize not everybody around you is equally well intentioned. You get what I'm saying? So you have to know that, and you have to be able to understand that and separate yourself from people like that. Get them out of your house. It's your home. If you have a house, you do not have to have people staying in your home that do not have your best interests at heart. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day or your night. And thank you. I will try to be on here more often. I'm really, like I said, I'm writing a book, and you can see how tired I am right now. And I am also finishing up some more coursework. So I have really been trying to get back on here. As you can see, I'm not even doing it in my little studio. I'm, in my bathroom at this point. All right. God bless you. Bye. And, I have somebody there. Thank you. It doesn't show me who is on here. It's called Blasphemy 2. Thank you. Thank you as well. Thank you. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I hope I said something to help you. If you didn't get a chance to see the whole thing, feel free to play it again. I'm extremely tired, but I'm here. Okay. God bless you. Bye. I don't know how to turn this off either. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this.